Hello and welcome, I'm your Code Monkey. So GDC is happening next week. This is the biggest event of the year for game developers. Usually this includes a ton of announcements. And this year Unity, instead of having some kind of roadmap directly at GDC, they basically made a live stream just the other day. And instead of a roadmap, they called it a Unity product update. So this is basically a smaller incremental update just to showcase that they're making the progress of the roadmap that they announced about 3 months ago back at Unite. So this roadmap over here, this one is still active. This is their long-term roadmap. You can go on this page and you can see the whole entire roadmap. But over here, let's see how exactly they're making progress towards all of those objectives. Get the latest game dev insights to help indie devs succeed. Check out my free game dev report. This is what I write every single week with the latest game dev news and any interesting articles that I come across every single week. There's a new issue published every Sunday. You can sign up for free, so check it out through the link in the description. So the first thing is the new quote-unquote release cadence. So right now we've got Unity 6.3 LTS and we're currently here. So that means along this year, we're going to have 6.4, 6.5, 6.6, and then at the end of the year, so just before 2027, we're going to have 6.7. That is going to be the new LTS version. And version 6.14, this one should be coming out next week during GDC. The main goal with Unity is still the same thing they've mentioned previously, so they got these 3 separate buckets that they are constantly working on. So their goal is to help developers actually develop their games faster, then deploy them so they can deploy them anywhere, whether that be PC, mobile, consoles, literally anything. And then for more live service games, having all kinds of tools help you grow your game. A really important part of Unity is actually graphics, and this is actually changing quite a bit this year. I made a video just the other day on what is happening with Unity's render pipelines this year. Essentially, basically, URP is staying stable. It is not being deprecated, it's not being removed, but it's basically not receiving any brand new features. Instead, they're constantly working on URP. URP is their main focus, their single focus. So they've got a ton of people right now basically bringing URP up to the level of URP. And as soon as that happens, basically we'll have just one render pipeline for everything you want to make. Whether it be mobile games, super intense games, you will have just one render pipeline, which makes things quite a bit easier. For more detail on that, you can watch my video. But the important thing is really the goal of focusing on URP. So that is going to be their focus, AGRP really just staying stable, and then the built-in render pipeline, this one will be deprecated starting in Unity 6.5. One super awesome feature coming to URP in the future is this one, a really nice global illumination tool. This basically enables real-time global illumination. You can actually have light bounces, so things that are actually in shadow, they'll look really nice. They showcase the demo on a really nice low poly scene, but this works literally everything. So even on this super high-end scene, you can still enable it, and you can get some really nice indirect lighting. The whole thing looks really great, and importantly, there's no setup, so these are not using light maps. This is an actual real-time GI solution. So this one looks really awesome. This one is coming out in 6.7 LTS, so the version that is coming out at the end of the year. Importantly, it's how it's actually fully scalable, so it also works on mobile, works on the wireless platform reach. So again, that's a very crucial thing about the fact that they're focusing on URP. So they're trying to make sure that all of these brand new graphics features they make, they work on literally everything. So it can be PCs, console, mobiles. Supposedly all these features will work on everything because Unity will have just one render pipeline. And beyond that, some more updates. There's also screen space reflections. That is really awesome. That is a feature that has been liking for quite a long time, so I'm very happy to see them focusing on that. Another thing is higher quality shadows. This is one of the main reasons why a lot of people tend to use AGRP if they want to have the maximum best visuals. It is because shadows on URP are definitely quite a bit more subpar, so it's really nice to see them focusing on that. Then also physical light units, kite manager, automatic exposure, and a bunch more. So basically the whole point is bring URP up, so they're focusing all of their efforts, all of their manpower just on URP, which hopefully means that all of these awesome features, these will come sooner rather than later, because right now they only have to support one render pipeline, which should also be awesome for asset developers. You only need to make one shared asset, and super awesome for developers. They can use just one render pipeline and everything works great. Then they mention a very important but slightly controversial topic, so their AI tools. Although honestly, I think this was the best presentation of AI tools that I've ever seen, just because they actually focus on how these tools actually help you make games. So again, the whole point is not replacing you as a game developer. The whole point is to enhance your skills as a game developer. For example, here in this demo, the AI was asked to basically take in a set of assets that were present in the project and basically use them to make a really nice racetrack, and the final result is honestly generally really great. Now for me, as someone who really dislikes doing kind of level design, those kinds of things, I really dislike doing those tasks. And actually just recently I had to do exactly that. I had to create some kind of environments for a really cool project that I'm working on, and I had to basically build a ton of environments manually myself. So I had to manually place all these props, all these lights, all these things. And this, like I said, this is definitely not the kind of work that I enjoy doing. So if I had an AI that was capable of building something just like this, just build me an office using these assets, that is generally insanely useful. So to me, this seems like a generally useful case for AI. The track does seem quite nice. So again, using this to speed up a prototype, that seems generally useful. Another generally useful tool is this one, which is basically how there's now a way for the AI to basically help you analyze your project, specifically looking at the profiler, and try to analyze why your game is having some performance issues. This can be super awesome, super helpful, especially for beginners who might not know what are the best ways to optimize projects. If you don't know that, you can just go here, just tell the AI, help me solve this problem. Just give it the reference point of what exactly were the frames where things were going wrong, and the AI will basically help you find what are the potential hotspots, what are the things you can do to help improve your performance. So this one is another super useful use case for AI tools. The profiler is usually filled with tons of information, but for some developers, especially for more beginner developers, trying to analyze all that data is really complicated. So being able to just talk with the AI naturally and getting a really nice response, I see this being a really awesome win. And yet another very useful AI tool is this one for UI construction. Basically, it is now capable of generating UI Toolkit designs. So you can tell it, you can describe some kind of UI that you'd like to have to your game, and the AI will basically create it. Honestly, looking at this image, this one seems insanely good, so I'm actually a bit skeptical. Was the AI actually capable of building this exactly like it? Because this does seem generally super useful. So if this is not a cherry-picked example, if this is actually how the AI tool works in most cases, if so, this seems insanely useful. And importantly is another thing they actually mentioned during this part, which is how the AI is now actually capable of vision, meaning you can actually give it some kind of sketch, some kind of idea of what you want your UI to be, how you want the elements to be located, and the AI can actually read that sketch, actually see that image, and use that to basically guide the generation. Again, when it comes to making prototypes, this seems insanely useful. Instead of having just basic, boring debug cubes everywhere, you can really just draw a simple sketch of your UI, ask the AI, and basically have this built. Again, if it does work exactly as they're showing here, that seems insanely useful. And then here's yet another insanely useful AI use case. So these are annotations. So you can basically draw on your scene directly. You can do some kind of doodles. And then you can basically ask the AI to do things specifically on those parts. So for example, you can draw some kind of doodle on where you want some trees to go, and then just do that. And the AI is actually going to do that. It's going to take trees that exist in your project and place them according to the actual path that you've drawn. Again, like I said, for me, one of the things that I most hate doing is level design. So these kinds of tools to speed up level design, this seems insanely useful. And they also added another very important feature when it comes to AI, which is basically checkpoints. So a common problem with AI is when it generates something and it might not be what you want, so that might actually mess up your project. That is really negative. So basically they're adding the feature of creating checkpoints in your game. So you can create some kind of checkpoint, then you can generate some kind of thing with the AI. You can have it actually take actions on your project. And then if for some reason the AI breaks your project or does something that it's not supposed to, you really just roll back to the checkpoint and try again, continue going from there. So this is a really nice safety feature. Since all of these AI tools, since these are never 100% guaranteed, sometimes they work, sometimes they don't work, I think this feature, this new addition, this one is really useful. It basically allows you to work with these AI tools basically without fear, because if things go wrong, you can really just roll back. And finally, they've also added MCP support, meaning you can have other AI tools that are not Unity AI and have them actually interact with the Unity project itself. So you can use your own AI model, whatever AI model you prefer, and still have them take actions directly inside Unity. These AI tools are currently still in beta, so you can sign up and you can join the beta. But basically the summary is what I said, which is I was genuinely surprised how all these tools seem genuinely useful. And again, none of them are meant to replace developers. None of these tools are going to make games by themselves. They're really just tools meant to augment your work as a developer. So for me, as I'm building my games, my prototypes, my tutorials, my things, now I have a tool that can actually help me build some kind of environment much more quickly. Or if I'm making some kind of racing game, I can build a racetrack. If I'm making some kind of Skyrim-like game, I can build a nice village environment. So again, these are tools not meant to replace developers, but rather making you quite a bit more efficient. And as always, these tools are just optional. So if you don't like any of these tools, if you're the kind of person who really hates AI, no matter how useful it is, if so, you can really just disable them and you don't have to see them at all. And since this is still in beta, pricing has not yet been announced. So no idea what pricing will be after it leaves beta, but at least right now, if you want to try out these tools, you can join the beta and you get a certain amount of points for free every single week, I think. So you can try them out right now for free, and then in the future, they will announce pricing at some point. Then one of the most exciting things on the feature of Unity is this, the path to Core CLR. So Core CLR is going to bring so many awesome benefits, so I can't wait until it gets here. Here they talked about, once again, how they're going to take things step by step until they reach the final integration of actually having Core CLR. So they're going to have all these steps on all of these versions, starting off with just some internal tools for implementing Core CLR. Then in 6.7 LTS, we're going to have the Core CLR desktop player release. So that is going to be quite interesting. Although this is just the desktop player, it is not actually the editor. So for the editor, for those really massive big boosts, for those are going to come in 6.8, which I'm guessing is sometime at the beginning of next year. If you can't wait to try it out, and technically right now you can already install the alpha and try to see it. And since 6.4 is meant to be coming out next week, I believe, then I'm guessing by next week we're going to have the 6.6 alpha. So if you want to just explore what Core CLR will be like, if so, you can go ahead and grab the alpha. But again, use it just for experimentation. Definitely do not do any serious development on any kind of alpha version. But looking at this, yep, the path looks great. So it is still going to take quite a bit until we finally have Core CLR. We finally have everything exactly as intended. It is still going to take a little bit, like at least a year, but it looks like things are definitely on track. The benefits of Core CLR are quite a lot, quite immense. So the main thing is really less time waiting for incremental changes. So Core CLR basically has hot reload by default. So all that time you spend waiting for a compilation, when Core CLR is implemented, that will no longer be the case, at least not as intensely. Then of course, once Core CLR is implemented, basically mono is gone forever, so there's no more mono. and as soon as we have Core CLR, then basically have the latest .NET version all the time. So Unity instantly jumps. I think they're on .NET 4.5, I think. So we're going to jump to .NET 10. And I think we're currently on C# 9, so we're going to jump to C# 14. And basically after Unity is using Core CLR, then it will always stay up to date with the latest version of .NET and C#. So if this is going to be a pretty substantial improvement for the future of the engine, it is still going to take quite a bit, but yeah, it's definitely going to be quite awesome when it gets here. And the other big thing, of course, is full entities integration. So basically merging both game objects and entities. So this is going to be another super awesome update to the engine. It is going to bring upon significant performance improvements to basically every part of the engine. There's another one that's also getting some really nice updates on every single version. And hopefully by next year, we'll have the full thing, game objects and entities working together and make everything super insanely performant. Their other big pillar is deploy, so basically allowing you to deploy your games on literally any platform. And on this one really awesome toolset they announced literally just on Unite just a few months ago was the platform Toolkit. This one basically makes it so much easier to put your games on literally every single console. So you can really just develop once, develop in your Unity build, go through the certification just by yourself, and then very easily upload that same game to Xbox, PlayStation, Switch, and so on. So this is a super useful tool if you want to publish your game on literally every console. And like I said, their goal was to continuously improve upon this, and they are doing that. They're working on adding support for PS4, the Quest 3, and adding a bunch more features, as well as adding official Steamworks support. So this part is really interesting. I mean, nowadays, if you want to publish your Unity game on Steam, you can do that. You just use steamworks.net. That is a free C# wrapper. It is really awesome, really excellent. If you want right now to publish your game using Steamworks, this is what you use. But of course, if you can just use it directly inside Unity, then that's even better. So you have official Steam support, just a nice little bonus to have, and they continue improving upon their platform features. One real awesome platform that I hope sees a resurgence in the future is the web, and for that, thankfully, Unity is actually pushing pretty hard on it. So this right here on 6.4, we got something that I literally did not think was physically possible, but apparently they're adding burst compiled C# jobs on the web. That's genuinely impressive stuff. I believe the reason they're able to do this is because of WebGPU. I think so, I'm not sure, but I think so. Either way, it's definitely very impressive being able to do multi-threaded work directly on the web. That is super insanely important. Then being able to increase the memory from 4 to 16 gigabytes, that also increases the amount of games that you can actually build for the web. And faster loading, also a very important thing. So it's really nice to see them work on the web quite a lot. If you know my story, you know that I started making Flash games. That is how I learned quite a lot, by making all kinds of Flash games, putting them up on the web, and having all kinds of people playing it very easily. So I really hope that these web tools, they lead to some kind of web resurgence. I really hope so. That was so useful for me as a developer, and so fun for players to be able to play awesome games by just going to a browser. So I'm very happy to see this. I really hope that all of these tools, all of this tech really helps make that a reality. And if that wasn't enough, they've also added support for compute shaders on the web. Again, another thing that I did not think was actually possible. So you can actually use VFX-Rav, you can actually simulate literally millions of VFX particles. All of them working on the web, on just a browser, everything works really nice. Again, really impressive tech. And then they also had a section on the grow side, so talking about in-app purchases and those kinds of things. For me, I mostly make premium Steam PC games, so in-app purchases are not really kind of my thing, so I don't really fully understand everything that they talk about over here. Although they did mention a really nice web shop. Apparently they will have some kind of template that you can then customize. So perhaps this, when combined with all those web improvements, perhaps that could be a good thing for the web. Because if you want to make web games right now, it is very difficult to monetize. So if you can make web games, if you can make some awesome games that run on the web because of all their tech, and then you can use this kind of thing to monetize those, that might actually help make the web a viable platform. So in that sense, these all seem quite nice. And yep, that was basically their product update for GDC this year. So basically everything they talked about on the roadmap 6 months ago, everything is currently still ongoing. That is still very much the plan, and they're making nice incremental steps. So basically everything here, there's no really big show-off kind of things. They're basically making sure to not overpromise and just actually deliver the things they've already promised. I think that's a very good way of doing things. It does lead to less flashy updates kind of like this. So there's no really awesome, sexy cinematics like the Atom cinematics. Those were really cool. So we don't really get those. Instead, we get just really practical updates, making the engine better little by little, which personally I think is a good thing. If you want to hear more, they will actually be doing some live streams directly at GDC. And I myself will actually be at GDC as well. Matt invited me over there, so I will be there. They've also sent me a really nice Quest 3S, so I'm definitely looking forward to making some nice VR tutorials in the future. And if you are also going to GDC and you see me randomly walking around, come ahead and say hi. If you're looking for a step-by-step guide on how to make games, check out my free complete courses. For beginners, I've got my Kitchen Chaos course. It is 10 hours teaching you all about Unity game development. Or if you're preferring more technical path, check out my C# course. This one is 12 hours long and covers everything from the language, everything from beginner to intermediate to advanced. There's a free video on YouTube, and then there's a premium version with a bunch of awesome bonuses, like a companion project with actual interactive exercise for every lecture in the course you can learn by doing. And if you're already on the intermediate level and you want to take your skills to the next level, then check out my problem solving course. This one is focused on teaching you the most valuable skill of all. It's a very practical course with all kinds of exercises that you can do in order to gain tons of experience so you can gain this knowledge. This one also has a free version over here on YouTube and a premium version containing all the over 200 problems for you to solve in order to gain this really valuable skill. Check out all my free courses with the link in the description. Alright, thanks for watching and I'll see you next time.